All right. I did the awkward video audio hookup thing, and we're ready to get going on the episode number 5 of the Blue Ox Running Podcast. It is, what day is it, Alicia? Do you even know the date?
May 7th.
May 7th. So
do I know the date?
Well, I'm just saying this is kind of a different podcast because this is the Eau Claire Marathon 2019 edition of the Blue Ox Running Podcast. We have a couple of guests on that we're going to hear from later in the episode, and I actually interviewed both of them before the marathon, and now we will interview them after the marathon. So we're very excited about that. Get a little before and after for some participants in the half marathon. And but before we do that, let's always check in with Alicia. One word to describe your personal well-being and life in the last week is what?
I didn't think about the personal one. I'd say proud, like happy.
Proud, happy. All right, we'll count that as one word. And one word to describe your running right now. Everyone's thinking about the Eau Claire Marathon, but for you...
It's taper.
Taper. Okay, so she's not in recovery yet. She's in taper. We're going to learn more about that in a second. And here is our infamous introduction music. So what's your spring running goal?
Qualify for the Boston Marathon.
Claim the beer mile title.
Training for a triathlon.
20 minutes again under a 5K.
To run happy.
Balance, running and family.
Finish Grandma's marathon.
To not die.
Fast.
Or slow.
Let's go! Fast or slow! Let's go! Fast or slow! Let's go!
All right. I'm just smiling at that last moo there because we are getting a better and better recognition around town for being the mooing group that moos at different people. Hopefully all just runners and people that know what's going on. But Alicia, your one word for personal, what was it? Proud, happy? What's that about? I don't get it.
Well, coming off of the marathon weekend, I don't want to get emotional. I was thinking about it on the way here. It's so cool to see the running community all come out, and each year we're around. We get to know more people, and I mean, I don't know if most people listening probably were at the marathon, but they mooed Adam in, or anytime I'd see a Blue Ox person, they mooed or showed little horns like this. And so it was just an overwhelming day, and just to be with our kids and spectating. I feel like watching Adam race used to be really hard for me, just carting around 3 little kids. I would just kind of dread it, even though I was really happy that you were running. But as they're getting older and just growing up, and I don't know, I think I have a new appreciation for just my role in that day of supporting and my attitude. I just was overwhelmed with being proud of you, and it was just a really good day. And all the other people, not just you.
Yeah.
Other people I knew running as well.
That's right. Yeah, no, it was a good day. It was nice and sunny. Really happy about the sun coming out, honestly, because I think the spectator crowd just lingers longer. You get more people out that are interested in the marathon and the half marathon and the relay and the 5K. Like I said last time that we talked about it, it's really fun when it becomes a citywide event and not just a running event. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that was on full display this last week. But yeah, no, I think that obviously our journey to be in the spot that we're in now has taken a lot of time to land in a community that we've already been a part of in a different way, but to be back in Wisconsin has just been life-giving in and of itself because we love Wisconsin. To be back in Eau Claire is very unique because the community and the running industry and the different groups that were already here before we were contribute in ways that we're still finding out. And then, yeah, I kind of pinch myself sometimes when I see our logo or something that we thought of when it comes to our slogan, faster, slow, let's go. And it's taken root for other people to kind of own themselves. And I don't have to do all the heavy lifting, and I don't have to do all the work to set this thing up. I feel like there's been a lot of work put in to start a business and to build community. And then now we have some flight. I feel like the plane is kind of off the ground where people are enjoying it. People are taking root of what we're kind of putting out there, and it's becoming its own thing. It's not just our thing. It's everyone's thing. So it's been really fun to see little kids with Blue Ox Running t-shirts. And I went through the Blue Gold Mile when I'm starting to feel pretty terrible, or I had been feeling pretty terrible for a while there. And there were college students on their hands and knees mooing like cows.
Like crawling around.
Like, where does that happen? Like, I don't get it. This is pretty insane that we've been able to enjoy what people are enjoying, because these are just random little weird ideas I have on my runs. Like, let's start mooing before a run. Let's do this or that. Like, let's have a shorts fashion show. This is just little weird things that no one else does, but everyone's thinking about, I feel like.
Well, and obviously we don't know everyone's name that
Right.
comes in our door and stuff, but compared to last year, there was just so much more a personal aspect that, like, I can cheer people on by name, that just the amount of people I knew coming through that have walked in our door and
Right.
we have personally met was really cool.
Well, even like, so I ran my first marathon 10 years ago. You were there for that one. We had no kids, but we just basically went to Philadelphia by ourselves. I mean, how many people did you know in that marathon besides me? Zero. Right. So, like, that's a spectating effort, and Alicia's driving around and getting me a gel here and there as well. So it kind of maybe feels the same, but again, totally different. Like, I'm able to finish the race. I'm able to see different parts of the course, and honestly, kind of be overwhelmed with how much support from people that have been in the door, obviously here at the store, but also you've got someone's aunt and uncle that heard about our store that needs supportive footwear because they work in a warehouse and they're on their feet all day. Like, those are the kind of stories that we love just as much as the fast runners, the slow runners, the walkers, like the people that are out there that have been serviced in a hopefully meaningful way. We really don't take any of that for granted. So if you're out there and you're listening, thank you very much for being fast or slow. We want to go together with you. All right. Your other word for your running is taper. I don't get it. What's that all about? I'm thinking about recovering.
Everyone's done in their compression socks, and I am running my last workout. But no, it's good. So my race is on Saturday. Get it done.
Get it done what? 5K, half marathon?
Half marathon in Menominee. We will be there with the Blue Oxtasy van.
Yes.
They have a little expo or booth type thing as well. So we'll be there. Come if you'd like to cheer on. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for this because, as we just talked about, Alicia's life and job honestly changed way more than mine once we started having kids, and her running has never really gone away, but it's taken a back seat as far as the competitive part, and she wouldn't be the one to say this.
Needed.
Yeah.
I feel like
she wanted to.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's a change that happened for her naturally. We actually approach running in pretty different ways, and she's wanted to back off, but now she has a little bit more desire, I think, to get out and maybe run a distance that she has before. Her workouts are going great, and it really is obviously not about time, but about getting out there, trying your best. And this is kind of a 8-year hiatus of distance running competition for her. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do. I'm going to play Mr. Mom, be hauling around those kids, throwing them in the
I'm so excited for the kids to see me race.
Because that hasn't really happened.
Never. Well, Shane was a baby.
Yeah. And he had no idea what was going on. Let's face it. Right. I mean, he did, but he didn't. So that's going to be fun for us on Saturday. And then we'll be back here at the store. And then happy Mother's Day. We'll both be in recovery mode by then.
And I'll be gardening outside.
She'll be gardening outside. All right. So what we want to do next is kind of shift into the interviews part of the segment. And I say interviews because we actually have 2 separate interviews with the same people. We already taped. I already was able to tape a section of it for the before weekend part. So we really got their honest approach, how they were feeling going into the marathon weekend. We have Rylee and we have Kyla from the marathon class at the university. They are both first-time half marathoners. And we will now get into that segment for Hear the Herd to hear how they're feeling before the weekend even took place. All All right, so we are going to get into the first kind of before interview with Kyla and Rylee. So welcome to the show. I know you guys have never been on the show before. You are in Dr. Evans' marathon class, right?
Yes.
Awesome. What year are each of you in school? And tell us, who is Kyla and who is Rylee?
Okay, I'm Kyla.
Very good.
This is my last semester, so it's my 5th year at Eau Claire. I will be graduating with a Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies major and a topical minor in Political Science, Economics, and Religious Studies.
Very good. So where's your hometown? Where'd you come from, Eau Claire?
Verona, Wisconsin. It's right outside Madison.
Very good. Yes, I know Verona. And Rylee?
I'm Rylee. I am a junior, so I still have one more year left at Eau Claire. I'm a Communication Science Disorders major with a sign language certificate. And I'm from Cottage Grove, Minnesota, the Twin Cities area.
Awesome. Very good. So we have two different people here that are going to experience the Eau Claire Marathon weekend, I believe, for the first time. Have you guys ever spectated Blue Gold Mile? Awesome. So you have never seen Eau Claire Marathon?
No.
Been in it? Awesome. So that's one of the reasons that we are excited to kind of interview Kyla and Rylee, is because everyone kind of has different routes in the Eau Claire Marathon. Some people have been here for 10, 11 years. This is the 11th year running. They've seen the transformation of new ownership. They've seen different routes and kind of tweaking on the routes. And some people are going to experience it. A lot of people experience this course and this race for their very first marathon, their very first half marathon. So tell us, each of you, we'll start with Kyla again, just because then I can keep it straight who goes first. We'll start with Kyla. Is this your first half marathon? Is this your first marathon? Are you running the 5K, the relay? What are you doing Eau Claire Marathon weekend?
I am running the half marathon, and it is my first distance run ever.
Very good. Oh, first distance run. So what's the longest that you've run in, like a, maybe not a race setting, but the longest that you've run before the half marathon here?
Under a mile.
Under a mile before, like, your build up in Dr. Evans' class? Mm-hmm. Or we can call him Matt. In our group run, I guess he's Matt. Mm-hmm. You guys call him Dr. Evans?
I never know what to call him.
I know, I don't either. Actually, our first episode on the podcast was us interviewing him, and I never knew what to call him because he was my teacher. But so we call him Dr. Moo or Matt or Dr. Evans. I think all three are fine. So never kind of gotten into the running thing, never high school, never track, cross country.
I was always pushed to do track because I am a pretty fast short distance runner.
Right.
My dad is a farmer, so he always taught me how to outrun cows and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
And we did like Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure, but I was never able to actually run it. It was more
be out
running
there.
And then walking and then running and then walking. And
great.
So
awesome. And Rylee, what's your weekend going to look like? I know that pre-race and the expo and everything are on Saturday, but what are you doing Sunday for your event? And have you done that distance before?
I'm running the half marathon, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I have only run a 5K before all the build-up runs.
Okay.
So 3-some miles is the farthest I've ever run.
So any sports history, high school, in college now, club teams, or anything that you've had to kind of do, like a lot of soccer players, they run to build their endurance. Any experience with just distance running in general before this, or no?
Not really. I played basketball for most of my life, but that wasn't really distance running. It's just kind of running back and forth.
Right.
So I never had to deal with running and running out of breath and choosing to walk or keep going. I never really had to deal with that during basketball.
Very good. So your longest run before this semester was, what would you estimate?
Probably about 3 miles.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Killer. All right. So what we want to do is have this segment be kind of the before segment. We haven't run the race yet, obviously. It's Thursday. It's Thursday, May 2nd right now. I know kind of the broader context of this whole podcast episode is going to be aired after the marathon, and we're also going to have their insight and their experience for after. But I like to kind of dive in a little bit before. Alicia's not able to make it, by the way, today. She's at an eye appointment, which is more important, I suppose, with her health than being here for the podcast. But she will be joining us to hear your story afterwards. And is there anything that's just scaring you guys to death about Sunday? Is there anything that you have a total like blank on, as far as like you don't know how it's gonna pan out, or something that just keeps kind of like gnawing at your brain when you go to sleep or when you wake up? Like, I'm just unsure about this little part of either the course or the distance or how you're gonna feel.
I guess the only thing that I'm unsure of was the 10-mile run that we were doing in our build-up runs. I closed at work after, so I was on my feet for probably 10 or 12 hours that day, and my Achilles just did not have it after, so I'm a little concerned that my Achilles injury could flare up, but I wouldn't say that it's crippling fear or anything like that.
You're confident. Like, how long ago was the 10-miler?
4 weeks, maybe 3?
Probably like a month.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yep. And you've been able to maintain training, a little bit of recovery after that. Good. What about you, Rylee?
I'm not really sure. A lot of people say running the half marathon is totally different than running in our group runs. Like, you'll feel totally different because of everyone who's there cheering and the atmosphere and everything. So just knowing how that's going to affect me, because I know that it's probably going to push me to want to run faster, but if I run faster, I'll run out of energy and breath.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so like pacing and just making sure you have enough in the tank at 9 or 10 miles to finish.
Oh, yeah.
Well, very good. So what's been like the best thing about your training that it sounds like this is the first time that either of you have gone through training like this, any kind of distance running plan. You're doing it with other people in the class for the most part. Have you guys been able to do your longest runs on those Saturdays, or have you been having to do them yourself?
So I actually didn't know anybody in the class when I started, and that was a huge anxiety of mine, because I have issues motivating myself. So my boyfriend is a kinesiology major, and one of our TAs is actually in his cohort, so he knows Kaylee, and he recommended that I run with Kaylee. And so now Kaylee is one of my better friends. So we've been doing all of our long runs Saturday morning, and she's been a huge help in motivating me and keeping me running instead of walking, and kind of just making me show up, because I know that I wouldn't have if it weren't for her. Right.
Very good. So there's a little bit more of a social part of it.
Exactly.
That keeps you accountable.
Huge social part of it for me.
What about you, Rylee? Has the build-up been kind of what you expected? You're doing Saturday long runs. You're doing during the week. Are you guys meeting at all, like as a class, or is it kind of on your own?
It's been off and on, because we've been meeting to do some interval training on Tuesday nights. But we've only done that 3 times, and then we also have lecture. So, and then I've come to a couple Blue Ox runs here. And then the TAs also lead a Monday night run, but I usually work. So
Rylee, do you like to run with people or alone now that you're getting into this running thing?
I definitely like to run with people.
Yeah.
I can be very competitive, and so people help push me to run farther and harder than I do on my own, because on my own I'll tell myself like, oh, okay, I'm out of breath. I can start slowing it down, or I can walk. But when I'm with people, they kind of push me to keep running, because I'm like, they're not stopping. So
do you always find kind of the same people, or have friends in the group that you've either made through the group or that you've known before that you kind of run together intentionally, or is it kind of like, here's the group, this is kind of who I'm by for this day?
I usually run with my friend Alexa. I've run with her since the beginning, and I actually didn't know her until this class, and she's now one of my best friends. So that's really cool. I did know 2 people before I came into the class. Kaylee is actually the person who kind of talked me into taking the class.
Yeah, there you go. You always got that one friend that just like pulls you into something you don't want to do.
100%.
Yeah, that's Kaylee.
I talked about how one day I would like to run a half marathon, and she was like, oh, take this class and run it now. And I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good. And so, but I'll run with my friend usually every weekend, and sometimes we'll start running with other people too, but usually it's the 2 of us, but sometimes it's just me.
Very good. So there's this social kind of non-running part of running that like helps, right? There's some people like to run with each other. Some people get encouragement from the track workouts. Some people like to run, their long runs are the most important thing in the week. What has been, besides like meeting people and besides kind of the non-running part of it, this new sport you're kind of trying out, what's been the best thing just about the physical activity? Like, is there any confidence that you're building through your training? What's been the best thing about your training?
So before running, I was mostly into lifting, and through lifting, I was able to lose like 50 pounds. I was always over 200 pounds in high school, and now I'm right around 145. And so I was able to lose another 15 pounds just by running, and my self-confidence is just through the roof, and I sleep better at night and have more energy during the day, and everything is just better because of exercise, in my opinion.
Yep. So you've got a little bit more scheduled, like, hormone and endorphin release throughout your day and your week. And have you had that before with other sports, or has running really kind of like locked that in on a day-to-day, week-to-week thing?
I'd say it's definitely locked it in. I definitely had it with lifting, but the cardio aspect is just, I don't know, it's a different challenge than I've ever had in my entire life. I wasn't in competitive sports in high school. I did ski team, so it was me versus myself, basically.
Right.
So it's just been a very unique challenge, but honestly one of the most rewarding challenges to overcome, in my opinion.
Very good. Awesome. What about you, Rylee?
Yeah, mine's kind of the same way. One thing that's happened with running is I've also started to feel so much different. Like, I always have more energy. I can tell that my mood like changes if I run in the morning. I'm in such a better mood for the rest of the day, which is really odd.
It's kind of weird,
awesome.
right?
Yeah,
it's like I just did something hard, but it actually makes the rest of the day easier.
Exactly. Like, I'll run in the morning and I'll be running. I'm like, why am I doing this? It's too early.
Right.
Like, I could be sleeping. And then I finish my run and I'm like, wow, I'm happy. Like, I'm in a good mood. But yeah, and I've also like pushed myself to do things that I didn't expect to be able to do. Like, I remember when I ran 10 miles with no stop. And when we finished, I just like was in like pure shock because I did not know I could do that.
Yeah.
I felt really proud of myself, and I've never like had that kind of, I was never that proud of myself before. So
it's funny you say that, because I remember my very first 10-mile run. I just meant, like, that's a round number, and the first time I ever did it, and this was years into like me running on cross country and track teams and stuff, but I still remember my first 10-miler was like, oh my gosh. And then you go later in the day, maybe you're driving somewhere and you see like a sign on the highway that's like, Eau Claire exit is 10 miles away. And so like you start driving 10 miles and you realize this is a long stinking way.
Yeah.
Like I ran, like it doesn't seem the same running distance compared to like driving distance, or it just seems weird when you actually do it and look back on it.
Yeah, it really
that's
does.
awesome. So as far as the class goes, right, this is a huge part of the Eau Claire Marathon. There's a university class that we all know about now, and Dr. Evans has marathoners and half marathoners. A lot of them are first-time half or full marathoners. Some of them go back and maybe are a TA and they do it again. But what's been the most helpful thing about the class in general? We've talked about maybe making friends and having other people, but the actual class content that you wouldn't have gotten just trying to do this same plan even by yourself.
I think that it was a huge help to have Matt just able to answer all of my questions. Every time I was having doubts about anything, he just reassured me that I could do it and gave me all the reasons why I could do it. And the structure of the class, just having people to hold me accountable, you know, how did your run go on Saturday? And it's like, well, if you didn't do it, you have to tell them that.
You got to tell 80 people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that it's helped motivated me, and all the content that we even learned during lecture. We've learned a lot about nutrition. Like, we spent a week on that, and that really helped me. Like, I didn't realize how like bad I was eating for training for a marathon until that class, and I was like, oh. And even on Tuesday when you were in class, I never even thought about how I have to think about how I grab a water when I'm running.
Grab the water cup. You don't want it down your jersey or on the street. You want it in your mouth. Yep.
Exactly. I was just like, oh my gosh, I haven't even thought about this stuff. So that helped, because I know during the marathon I would just go and grab it how I'm not supposed to. So.
Well, I think 95% of newer runners would learn that within the first race in their failure, or learn these little tips and tricks through trial and error. And we're all still a work in progress. I've been at this over 20 years, and I still pick up something every single race at every distance. I pick up something that I'm going to take to the next one. So I feel like all of those little things that you just said, and then even more, like even the training cycles. You know, I know Matt talks a lot about building your training, but then having a rest week, you know, and then building up again, then having these macro cycles of training and rest. That doesn't just happen. Like, we don't just know those things as new runners. And so I think this course is a really good kind of bang for your buck. Week in and week out, you get this super packed, knowledgeable, and community-based experience. That's really good. Tell us about the shirts. We have a shirt and a tank top. There's a different one every year for the class. Last year, I think it said world's okayest runner, which is like the best thing ever. Because no one's trying to set a world record, you know, no one's trying to pretend like they're, you know, the best marathoner in the country or anything. Everyone kind of knows we're all into this together. It's a little bit newer for most of us. So tell us what this year's shirt is and what it says, and like it, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it looks kind of what?
So our friend Kyla actually designed it, so that's pretty
good.
funny.
Very
yeah.
good.
And it's basically an outline of the course, and it has both the half and the full on there. And then in the shirt it says friendship, miles, bridges, 13.1, sweat, blue gold, cold, snow, 26.2, goals, community, UW-EC, ice, and run.
Gotcha.
So just everything that's been going into this training, basically.
Right. So all the runners would know, like this, like the community part, the 13.1 is the distance, the icing, the bridges. This is all kind of part of race weekend and race buildup. How did those words get finalized? Did you guys vote, or did someone come up with them, or was it like this project?
They did a little bit of voting on what kind of shirts they wanted, but I believe Kaylee just came up with the words that go in it. Is that right?
I think that Kaylee just came up with it and designed
whatever fits.
it.
Yeah, just like everything.
You can't have 100 words.
Yeah, it's just like everything that we've gone through, like the snow and everything like that, training.
One thing that I picked up with the first time I saw it, I think on the last part of the course, down on the Water Street part, the friendship. Like, there's really only one word in the last, like, from Blue Gold Mile on, basically, in the last, like, 4 miles that's gonna get you through. And I think that's so it's so appropriate to focus on, especially in that last part. You kind of run with your heart. You're no longer running with your legs or your brain. You're running with your heart. Mm-hmm. And it's a totally different feel, even though it might be the same pace and the same motion and the same everything. Your heart and your legs and your lungs are doing the same thing. It's so different when it's the first 4 miles as opposed to the last 4 miles. So I usually say, my mantra on race day is usually float, run, grind. So I've got a part of the course I just want to float and feel fantastic, and then we need to do some work and we need to run, and then we need to grind because it hurts and we need to get to the finish line. So when I grind, those friendships, the people, what I've picked up from Dr. Moo and the herd here, that's what I need to put in my mind. Is there anything else you guys want to say before the race happens? I know we're going to circle back, and this episode is going to now probably go into, oh yeah, the race happened and that was that, you know, even though it seems like a big monster to us right now. There is going to be life after the marathon weekend, but anything else you want to share about before the marathon weekend?
I guess I just want to say a huge thank you to my mom. She always ran half marathons when I was in high school, and I never appreciated how difficult that must have been, being a single mom and raising 2 kids in high school and also training for a half marathon all at the same time. And it's really motivated me to keep going every single time I get tired.
Yeah. Did you see her training when you were younger like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you were kind of part of that ride. And maybe now you see it wasn't just about mom's half marathon goal time or whatever, but maybe it was a huge part of her mental health and the daily grind of stress and relief and all that. That's very good. I like that. What about you, Rylee?
Yeah, I guess I just really want to thank all my friends who have pushed me to take this class, like Kaylee and my friend Rachel and my friend Alexa, who's like kept me accountable on my runs and everything like that.
Yeah.
This class has just been really helpful to me. I don't think I would have gone through with the half without this class, to be honest. Like, I might have signed up for it, but I might have backed out because I wouldn't have had the support that this class gives me. But yeah, everyone's just been super supportive, and I just really, really hope it doesn't rain.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, though, sideways rain and windy storm is not good, but like rain can be the most underrated race condition. Mm-hmm. Everyone complains about the rain because they're going to get wet, but everyone PRs in the rain. Like, the rain gives you a natural cooling down. It's usually not as hot. It can be humid on some rains, but the rain isn't all bad. The sun and the heat and the humidity are bad.
I don't want it to be hot. I would rather it be raining than for it to be hot.
Yeah. Last thing. I know Matt talks a lot about I will, I want, and I dream. So can you guys share the I will Like, no matter what happens on race day, whether it kind of feels better or worse than I thought, I will do what? And then we're going to circle back to that after the race weekend.
I will finish the half marathon.
Very good.
I will at least try my best. Like, I will do the best that I can and no less than that.
Yep. You're going to wake up Monday morning and know I did try my best.
Exactly.
Awesome. So we're going to sign off, and the next part of this episode is going to be after the fact. We're going to fast forward to next week when we've all, probably a lot more sore and a lot more a lot more worn out. But we will hear from Kyla and Rylee again shortly. Until then, we're signing out. Hey everybody, this is Adam. Thank you for listening to the Eau Claire Marathon episode of the Blue Ox Running Podcast. I wanted to give you some insight into the next minute or so of the podcast are some really random clips that I was able to get on audio from some of the students in Dr. Evans' marathon class. I was able to visit their last lecture after the marathon weekend happened on the following Tuesday, and just collect a couple clips that I thought you would enjoy. And then we will get back to Kyla and Rylee telling us about how their weekend went.
It's my first time ever running this distance before in my life. The longest I've gone before this was about 8 to 10 miles.
I ran the half, the 13.1.
Yeah.
And the best part was probably running into my professor who was running like the relay, and she came and ran with me for a little bit, and she's like, "You're doing great." And then she like gave me a big hug, and she's like, "You're almost there."
Awesome. What are you doing after this with running?
I'm running about 2 or 3 more half marathons this year, including like a few more 5Ks.
Honestly, it was kind of interesting because the best thing about the race and the worst thing about the race, I've been dealing with insomnia for the past 6 months or so. And the night before the race, I had so many nerves going on. I only got about 4 hours of sleep. Yeah. I had no idea I was going to do it. Yeah. So I get up and I'm like, oh my God, here we go. I get on the starting line, it was the most zen feeling I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I just start going, and I went and I ran a 1:30, and I'm happy as I can be about that.
Crushed it. Good job, man.
It was nice to see everyone there supporting you and cheering and screaming, but it was just hard mentally because I almost prepared myself to get tired at that point. But I mean, I still got through it. I was with my parents, so that was awesome.
What is the most fulfilling part of this class for the teacher?
I think the greatest thing about being part of the marathon class and getting these kids to do stuff that they've never done before is to see them overcome something that they control.
Right.
And the joy and the crying and the elation and the just exhaustion at the finish line just shows that they really worked for something, and it has value.
Is it a different group of kids in May than January?
Oh yeah, they have really proved that they can overcome so many different things, and the hope is they take this into their lives.
So I saw one sign on the race, and it said, "You've done harder things than this," and I was just thinking in my head the whole time, no I haven't. This is literally the hardest thing I've ever done.
All right, so time warp back to this week, current time, May 7th. We are now going to interview the same 2 young ladies, Rylee and Kyla. They're going to talk to us about how their race actually went, and we can kind of see the before and after picture, see how things were better or worse than they thought, and pick their brain about how their half marathon ended up. Afterwards, it is now again May 7th, after the race has happened. Let's hear from the herd again. All right. So we are back. Welcome back to the world famous Blue Ox Running Podcast studio, also known as the front of a running store here in downtown Eau Claire. Kyla and Rylee both started the half marathon on Saturday or Sunday, right? The 5th of May. It's the 7th of May. 2 days later, I heard you guys talking a little bit before we started taping, but I honestly don't really know how it went, how we finished, what our expectations were. We did share out last time what your main goal was, what you will do. But overall, number 1, did you finish? And number 2, how do your legs feel right now? Kyla, you go first.
I did finish.
Great.
And my legs are sore, but I was worried about my Achilles, and my Achilles is feeling fine. So
Great.
It's feeling fine now, or it felt fine on Sunday, or both?
Both.
Oh, okay. We're going to hear a little bit more about that. And Rylee, did you finish, and how do the legs feel now?
I did finish. Surprisingly, my legs don't hurt all that much. It's my right foot, and only my right foot that hurts.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But yeah, that's probably what's in the most pain. Got some blisters, got some.
Did you feel that during the race? Like, did you know your right foot was going downhill?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
mile 3. I started to
Yes.
feel
Okay.
that.
Mile 3. Gotcha. So 10 miles of right foot pain.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhat.
Power through.
Power through. Awesome. So remind us what your I will goal was. In their class, they talk about the I will, I want, and I dream. Kind of their different things that they want to accomplish or will accomplish for that day. And do you feel like you accomplished that?
My I will was I will finish the race. So I definitely do feel like I accomplished that.
Good.
My I will is that I would be proud of how I ran, no matter how I ran. And I am proud of how I ran because I finished.
Yeah.
That was my main goal. And just being able to do that, I was proud of myself for that.
Yep.
So.
Awesome.
Great. So the race was on Sunday. We last talked to you guys Thursday. Talk us through how nerves were or how your brain was processing going into the race, whether it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, like before the gun went off. Do you feel like you encountered anything out of the ordinary as far as calmness or sleepless nights or nervousness, or how was before the race going for you guys?
I was a mess. I was terrified.
Yeah.
I probably cried several times the day before. My boyfriend was like, I'll spend the night to make sure that you get good sleep, which obviously did not happen.
Yep.
So probably slept for a total of like 4 or 5 hours the night before. But I guess I was most surprised when I showed up. Matt Evans just says your goal now is to just get to the starting line.
Yep.
And so that's what I focused on. I focused on getting there, giving myself plenty of time, taking my picture with the class, and then just getting to the start line was really important for me. So.
Great. And that happened as far as getting to the starting line. How did you feel the morning of?
I didn't really have enough time to feel super nervous because I didn't want to wake up super early because I knew that I would psych myself out. So I kind of just woke up, ate some breakfast, chilled out a little bit, and then just went right there. So I didn't really have enough time to kind of freak out.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Yeah.
I guess.
What time did you wake up?
Better.
Well, the half starts later, right?
At 9:30.
something.
Right.
Gotcha.
The half started at 9:15. We had to be there at 9 for a photo. So I probably woke up at 8, which is later than what we were waking up for our long runs on Saturdays. So
good. So pretty normal. I mean, maybe not a normal night's rest, but it doesn't feel like you're getting up at 3 a.m. or like anything weird like that. Awesome. What about you, Rylee?
I was probably most nervous on like Friday to midday Saturday.
Yes.
The place I felt the most nervous was when I was in the running expo and I was getting my bib and everything. I was like, okay, this is real. This is happening. There's no turning back. This is it. That's where I got the most nervous. But as soon as I left the expo, and pretty much up until like the morning of, I just kind of like it is what it is at this point. Like
there's no going back.
There's no like being nervous isn't gonna help me.
Right.
I honestly slept really well. It was probably my best night's sleep I've gotten in a while, and I woke up and I was like,
we need to
that was
learn
weird.
What did you eat in the morning, or did you eat? Everyone's different with that.
I ate a bowl of oatmeal, which is what I've had every time.
Yeah.
Every morning before I run, because I was not going to mix anything up. That's Evans talks about that all the time, is don't change anything.
Right.
Just do everything the same. But it wasn't, I got nervous again when we started walking towards the starting line.
Yeah.
That's when all that like, okay, this is real feeling came back again. But then like as soon, like 30 seconds before the gun went off, I was like, back to the, it is what it is.
Yep.
Was the whole class in the same like corral?
No, everyone is spread out in different corrals. That would have been convenient, though.
But you guys had a picture that morning?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're able to see everyone, and everyone's kind of milling around together somewhat.
And how many people are in the class? Like over 100, right?
Maybe like 200. Like
it's a big group, though.
There's a lot. There's a lot of people, yeah. It's not a small class. But
awesome. So the gun goes off, right? And, I mean, you guys start a little bit later in the day. The sun was out a lot more than we anticipated. The weather all week was saying it might rain, it might not, but it's going to be cloudy and chilly. I mean, maybe kind of like 40s and 50s. It ended up waking. I remember the first thing you said when you got up and we were looking at stuff. You're like, oh, it's going to be hotter. And I was like, oh, whatever. I'm like still lying to myself.
I was like already in like I had a sweatshirt on last year when it was so hot. I had like so many layers on because it was colder in the morning where like it wasn't that cold, but it didn't get quite as hot. But I mean, it was It wasn't as hot as last year, but it was warmer.
Well, I remember looking at the weather apps and stuff and being like, I might not even wear sunglasses, which is kind of nice. I just have less on my face, and I might just wear whatever, my headband or nothing on my head. I'm going to wear something, but not on my head.
We sold so many gooders on Saturday, and I was telling people, oh, you probably won't need them. Forecast is supposed to be cloudy.
Right. So then once we got into the race, I was like, oh, it's supposed to get cloudier as it goes on. So it's sunny now, yeah, but where's the gentle breeze and the clouds going to come in? And I kept looking at the sky being like, man, it's so beautiful out, but there is not a cloud in the sky. So anyway, I got a little bit more deja vu from last year, just with the more miles went on, it got warmer. So you start even later. I know the half marathon starts later, where it's even warmer when you start. How did that first 3 miles go? How did the first stretch go when you're going kind of the hillier parts? You're going up towards the high bridge and not quite on North Crossing yet.
I think that I was so excited to be running, I wasn't really paying attention, because going into the race, I was like, had my outfit all laid out, and my boyfriend kind of looked at it and he's like, you're wearing leggings?
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, I'm wearing leggings. I haven't trained in shorts. I don't want to risk chafing. Like, I just want to do what's right for me. And I didn't wear sunglasses, which I hadn't been training with sunglasses on. And so I was fine though. I never felt hot. Tons of spectators had sprinklers going, which was super nice.
Good.
And then it did start raining right around Blue Gold Mile, so that was a nice cool off for me.
Yeah, and it was kind of a quick done, like it was over within 5-10 minutes, right?
Any runner I was cheering when it started raining was like, this feels amazing. Like everyone really liked when it started to rain a little bit.
Yeah.
That was still out there.
What about you, Rylee? How did the start go? Did your nerves just you're kind of like, okay, we're doing this, and your nerves went away when the gun went off, or did you get more nervous as you started realizing, I have 11 miles to go, I'm only 2 miles in, or how did the first few miles go?
Yeah, I wasn't super nervous in the first mile because I was just running and I was like, it's just Saturday run. Like, it's just like our normal class runs, just not getting in my own head. And then we passed that first sign that said 1 mile. And I was like, I have so much left to go.
It's almost worse that they have it out there sometimes.
Because I never keep track of that. Like on our Saturday runs and on my runs, I get to the turnaround and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm halfway. And then I finish. Like, that's the distances I know. But here I was staring at the numbers as I passed by, and I was like, I thought I was so much farther than 4 miles or something like that. But yeah, the heat really got to me. I thought it was really hot. Yeah. Before I even hit the high bridge, I was sweating. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm dying or if it's just hot.
Yep.
Did you wear shorts, pants?
I wore leggings just like her. I was not changing anything up. No sunglasses.
Yep.
Just going for it.
Which I think that's smart. Like if you haven't worn like a hat, like all that kind of stuff throws me too. Like if you're not used to something on your face, that could bother you.
Yeah, I'm psycho about it. I honestly, like if you'd see me running my last couple weeks, I'm trying new things. I literally tried like carrying my gels or putting them in my shorts or safety pins or putting them in a part of my headband. Like I tried all that last year and I figured it out. And I literally didn't change anything as far as my nutrition goes. And I changed it all up this year. I mean, I changed it up in the weeks prior, but I'm just so fidgety that I need to like practice it and be really OCD about it.
No, Adam and me, he's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like,
well, describe away. I'm
to
anxious
the books,
to hear this.
And I'm kind of go with the flow. As far as race, like we're different with different things.
We're a little bit of the odd couple.
I actually don't even want to like know the course I'm even running on, or like I don't do much at all beforehand which it's been a long time, but that's just my personality. I kind of rather go into it not knowing.
I think running is a really good sport that it's an art and a science at the same time, and you have to be flexible, but you also need to be prepared. And I err on the side of just analyzing and getting in my own head.
And I err on the side of being too flexible.
And Alicia's like, "What? Do I need to wear the same kind of socks on each foot? Like, who
I don't
cares?
even know what I'm wearing
having a good time." Right? Exactly. And I've been like thinking, no, the night before the marathon, we're going to bed, and I'm like, I'm gonna switch out a gel for you. You have 2 blue ones on the counter and the keys and the car keys. I'm gonna put a red one there, so don't be alarmed. You have a blue and a red because the red has caffeine. I might need caffeine. And you're like, oh no, like. That red one doesn't have caffeine, and I'm like,
Yes,
it has
does.
caffeine. I've thought about this for the last 3 months. The raspberry Yuma has caffeine. Anyway, long story short, we're very different in that way. You guys starting the half marathon, where did you first feel like discomfort? Not even just in your body, but mentally, like where did your kind of runner's high go away? Because I experience that almost every race. I have a huge runner's high anticipating the start, and it's exciting, and then it kind of goes away, and then hopefully it comes back to give me a last push. But where did the runner's high go away? Because you can't hold one for 13 miles.
Mine probably went away. It started to go away just before the high bridge as we were going up that very steep hill.
Yep.
And what mile is that? Do you know?
Like 2.5.
Yeah,
okay, so
very
pretty
early.
quickly.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine went away very early because I was going up that hill, looking up it, and I was like, this is the first hill we're really going up.
Right.
Knowing that there's so many more little slants and
Yep.
steep hills to go. And it was looking at that I was like, all right, I've got my work cut out for me. This is not going to be easy. But yeah, that's probably where it faded away, and I started to have to push myself. But as soon as I was crossing the bridge, like there was the breeze,
right,
the first breeze of the race, and it felt so good. And I was like, all right. I kept fluctuating between I don't know if I can do this and I can do this, feeling like every mile it probably switched throughout the whole time.
Great. What about you, Kyla?
I guess probably the same. My issue is that I never felt like I hit a wall. It was like I hit a wall and then I just jumped over it because I would walk until I felt better.
Great.
And so I never felt like I needed to give up. It was mostly just, okay, cool off for a second, walk, get your breath back, and then set a marker. Okay, I'm going to run once this block starts or something like that.
Right.
We also started a lot earlier than I thought we were going to start because I was told that there were 10 minutes in between each corral when there's really only 10 seconds.
Oh.
And so my boyfriend and his mom didn't leave until 9:30 to go to Phoenix. And so I didn't see them going through Phoenix. And so that was kind of hard because I was kind of banking on that cheering. But I saw some other people that I knew, so that was okay. But
Good.
What was your I want? Or are we going to come back to that?
No, go for it.
Yeah, I was
What's
curious.
the I want?
Yeah.
You guys both finished. Proud of yourself for I will, but I want. What was that secondary goal that you were chasing?
I think that mine was that I wanted to walk as little as possible, which I don't know if I necessarily did that, but I'm not upset with when I walked.
Yep.
And like I said, I never felt like I hit a wall, and I think that that's partially because of that. So
yeah, that's good.
Great.
My I want was actually the same thing, was walking as little as possible. And looking back on it, I kind of wish that I did walk more because I didn't walk. My first official walking was around mile 10.5. I ran up until that point. And then, but it just made running after that so much harder because I stopped and then I'd run and then I'd let myself stop again. And I was like, I ran 10 miles without stopping before. Why can't I just run these last 3?
Right.
Yeah, it made it really hard. So I wish I kind of stopped earlier, and I feel like that would have helped me in the long run if I stopped earlier a little bit and preserved my energy. But I was also just happy that I was proud of that because I've never done that either. So just being able to do that made me happy. So
yes.
Awesome. What's the main thing that's going through your guys' head? What would you mentally focus on, whether you were feeling good or bad? We talk about the runner's high going away, and what I find myself doing, and I was not near other runners. A lot of times I like to try to just fall asleep, honestly, and try to wake up 10 miles later and kind of run with a pack, kind of be in the back and just run pace. But when you're out there alone, I try to kind of distract myself and get almost make little jokes. I commented on some guys' St. Louis Blues hat or try to make it feel like a training run, so it's not this intense race. What were you guys thinking about, whether you're feeling good or bad, to let those miles click by, and did it work?
One thing I did was I read a lot of signs.
Okay.
And I actually listened to what people were saying. I don't know why, but that helped distract me because I would read a sign and then I would think about oh, that was creative, or oh, I wonder where they got that. I would think about that for so long for some reason.
Yep.
But I would think about that. I would think about And I would also think about the fact that I wonder how many people these people know who are running. Like, some of these people don't even know people who are running,
Yes.
but they're out here in the heat, like turning on their sprinklers and like cheering, making signs, and they don't even know anyone who's running. And I just think that's the coolest thing. So like, just thinking about that, like, kind of distracted me. Just thinking about the people on the side really distracted me for some reason.
That's good.
Totally.
And this is a course that has a lot of spectators.
You
don't get that at every race, which is really cool about Eau Claire.
Absolutely. What about you, Kyla?
Yeah, I was also super, not distracted, but intrigued by the signs, and they definitely helped me finish. Like, I think that there was one right by North Crossing that said, "Do one thing a day that scares you. Eau Claire Marathon, check."
Yeah.
And I was
Nice.
like, that is so genius.
Yeah.
And I just thought about that my whole run. It's like, I'm just doing something that scares me a little bit.
Yep.
People do these all the time. I'm going to be fine. And every time that I got tired, I just had my mom saying in my ear, "Come on, Kyla, come on, Kyla." And she used to do that at all my ski races and all my sporting events in high school. So it was just, I focused on basically anything else besides running, just kind of out of body experience. And I had the same thing where I feel like I kind of blacked out during the race, and then all of a sudden I was done. I was like, oh, okay, there's 13.1 done.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, time goes by really quick or slow depending on how you're feeling.
I was going to say it can go by
sometimes.
slow.
It goes by really weird. Like 7 miles or 10 miles will kind of float by, and then all of a sudden the next 3 are just
I mean,
killer.
you might have even felt that in your long run. Like, sometimes my long run will go really well, and then sometimes like I have like 10 minutes left, and I'm just like, this feels longer than the first like hour and a half or whatever it is, you know?
One thing I like about Eau Claire's course is that it showcases Eau Claire really well, but it's very different. I honestly keep saying this. It feels like a Midwest version of the New York City Marathon, because the New York City Marathon has 5 boroughs. Every single neighborhood and every borough is a little bit different. Queens is different than Brooklyn, and you kind of have your own little identity as you go through the course, and then you end up in Central Park. Well, here we have all these different little districts. Downtown is totally different than being out by the airport, which is totally different than going up and climbing, to the High Bridge, which is totally different than Blue Gold Mile and going down Water Street. Like, you feel like you're in this little pocket, and I can go, okay, the next 3 to 4 miles on the bike path, I can focus, and then I'll figure out, Banbury Place when I get there. And then, okay, I'm going to grind from Banbury until I see people that I know in 3rd Ward. And so I broke it up like that, which was really helpful. And I think the people of Eau Claire know that about the city, and the visitors come experience that and go, oh yeah, like once I got downtown, the course had a different feel than when I was wherever else on North Crossing, So that's helpful to break it up, because running 13 or even a 5K that fast or 26.2 miles seems really overwhelming at the starting line. You got to break it up. All right. Speaking of that, walk us through our stores downtown. You're getting to mile 9-ish, and it's kind of go time. We see a lot of people when we spectate here that they're either feeling good and they're ready to crush it, or they're really starting to set on with some cramping or walking. You have about 4 miles to go right around here for the half marathon or the marathon. And how did those last 4 miles go? Downtown, Blue Gold Mile, and into Carson.
So I actually knew that I was going to have to run on Barstow, because I knew that there were going to be a lot of people cheering for me.
You kind of know that going into it.
Yeah, I think I was walking like the last block before all the shops. And I work at the Informalist in the Lismore downtown. And so I was feeling tired, but as soon as I saw all my coworkers and boyfriend and family, and my roommate brought her cat out, and so I saw Timmy on the leash.
Yes,
and
Timmy. I love you, Timmy.
Yeah, Timmy was cheering me on, and it just totally powered me through. And then you go from downtown over into kind of the historical homes district, and that was probably the hardest part for me, just because there's not as many spectators, and it feels a lot different than downtown, just because there's not as many spectators. But then you go into Blue Gold Mile, and it was just so cool. when I was in high school, I had a lot of animosity towards a lot of the athletes. I was a bigger girl, wasn't involved in a lot of sports, and all of the athletes were cheering for me.
Yeah.
And so that was just such a crazy experience that I've never experienced in my life before. And
Cool.
then that powered me, and then we hit Water Street. And Water Street was definitely a little harder. It's a long road.
Yeah, so they do the Water Street mile, and you feel like you run the whole length of Menominee and Water Street, and you're like, oh, that's just a mile. But on marathon day, half marathon, at the end, it feels like about 4 miles.
I just kept telling myself, okay, I just got to make it to Carson, and then I'm done.
Yes.
Because it's literally Water Street, Carson, Park Hill,
Yes.
and then you're done.
Yes.
So I just kept telling myself, I'm almost there. I'm almost to Carson. I'm almost done. And so that really helped me finish.
Good. Yep. How did you finish, Rylee? Did it get better? Did you kind of not know how you were going to feel in those last 4 miles, or did it get worse?
I had really no idea how I was going to feel because before I hit downtown area, it was going well.
Yeah.
I hadn't stopped yet, and in my mind, that was good. And I was running, and then it was pretty much as soon as I finished this downtown area that I started to hit my wall,
Yep.
that I got tired, and there were suddenly so many water stations because there were people over here who made their own water stations,
Right.
which was super nice.
Yeah.
I really liked that. And then there were all these sprinklers, and I was like, all right, I'm going to stop and walk. I'm going to enjoy this water. I'm going to enjoy this sprinkler. And that was kind of when the rain started to come and everything. So I enjoyed that a little bit, and then I'd start running, but then motivating myself to keep running just became very hard
Yep.
because I had stopped and everything. But yeah, the Blue Gold Mile, the same, was amazing.
Yep.
Like, people were cheering so hard and
Yep.
so excitedly that I kept looking at people like, do I know you?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought these were all people that I knew and I just don't remember, but they simply just like are just cheering for everyone like crazy. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is so cool that they're doing this. And then I got onto the Water Street stretch, and I live right next to Water Street, but I looked down Water Street, and it was at that moment that I realized how long that road actually
Yep.
is. I had no
because
idea.
you see it with traffic and
Yeah.
stuff,
Exactly.
and cars
Drive down
parked.
it,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and now those streets has no cars. It's just people
Yeah.
and everything. And I'm looking down there, and I'm just like, this is gonna be a long one.
Yep.
And it was hard. That was probably the hardest part. Was probably getting through water. I'd have to say that might have been harder than the State Street area.
Yeah.
But
I always remember, and I got a huge flashback to last year. The first time I ran Eau Claire was last year, and I just remember being like, yeah, we're going to be running downtown. We're going to be running by the store. There's going to be a huge cheering section. It's just going to be great. I'm going to be high-fiving. Same thing with Blue Gold Mile. Like, everyone talks about it. I can't wait to be there. And that point in the race, I'm like starting to really have trouble, cramp up. I mean, both years, last year and this year. And I just remember kind of being like, all right, like, act the part. Like, don't throw up on anyone. Just, straight and steady, and just look like you're going to continue running, even though you feel terrible. I remember I had sunglasses on both years, and I kind of picture that as like my little shield.
I can still tell when you're hurting.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, everything kind of changes within 1 mile sometimes. And I remember coming down here being like, man, this is crazy. There's a lot of noise and stuff, but like, I really am having a hard time.
One of the women that come to our group run, I won't say her name, but she shared a picture of herself on Facebook. I think it was from a previous year, that she's like, the year I was trying to hold it together but throwing up, and she has her like hand over her mouth like throwing up.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. I mean, that's how Blue Gold Mile was. Actually, this year I really enjoyed Blue Gold Mile in a way, because there's actually a lot less people there when I was going through. They kind of come out a little bit later. But that lent me to actually focus on Chip Schneider is out there. He's a track coach now. He was my track coach in college. His first year as a Blue Gold was when we were still in school here. So he's out there with some track athletes, and he looks the same. First of all, he's just a very fine looking gentleman. He looks like he hasn't aged any at all since I've been here. 12 years go by, and I just get these deja vu moments of him cheering on the track. Like, that's just like ingrained in my brain. So how he cheers and how he's animated and how he's cheering for me, it kind of takes me back, and that really, really, really got me pumped up. And I think his wife Facebooked me and was like, I don't even know if you saw Chip. Like, he was down there at Blue Gold Mile, because I think, again, I was like stone-faced and trying not to, try not to cramp up or whatever, but I see it all. Like you're kind of taking it in, but it's almost like a different out of body experience, So you finished, you come up, like how was Carson? We kind of get to Carson, and how was Carson Park with the finishing line and everything? What did you do when you crossed the line?
I got really happy. I feel like I kind of blacked out. Like that's when I blacked out, was when I crossed the
good
line.
Blackout.
I just like know that I was like, I finished and nothing else mattered to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I saw my family when I crossed the finish line. So I was like, I'm just going to go over there. I'm going to find my family and I'm going to sit.
Yes.
I was so excited that I even started to walk past the people with the medals.
Yep.
I did not see them. And then
You're like, give me Doritos and food.
Exactly. I was like, I saw the food, I saw people, and I was like, I just want to get over there. And I started to walk past them, and they kind of stepped in front of me to give me this. And I was like, oh, I forgot about this part. I was like, thanks. And then I got my stuff, and it took me 5 minutes to figure out how to get out of that maze. But I was just so happy. I was so relieved.
Cool.
I honestly don't really remember much of after
I don't remember
crossed
a lot of it too.
Yeah.
What about you?
I feel like I had the opposite where I don't really remember much of the race, but I very clearly remember summiting Carson Park Hill and feeling super nauseous and just thinking, do not puke right now. You are almost finished. You have 0.1 to go.
Yep.
You can do it. And at that point, I was just all tears. I could not stop crying. I was so proud of myself. And I don't know the man's name, but I recognized him. I don't know if I recognized him from a Blue Ox run or if he came in and talked to class, but I was almost to the finish line and he was announcing and he just said, it's okay to cry. It's good to cry.
Yeah.
And I crossed the finish line and I just felt so many emotions. I didn't know what I was feeling. I was just overwhelmed and again, could not stop crying, and all I wanted was salt.
Yes.
And I cross the finish line, I get my medal, and I see them serving food, and I'm like, oh, is that a pickle? And it was a banana, and I was so upset because I just wanted a pickle so bad. And so found my family after kind of walking around aimlessly for a minute, and they all saw me finish, but I actually didn't see them when I finished.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had my eyes set on the Bloody Mary that I needed. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So final question.
Yeah.
Do you want to do another race?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You do. Sometimes like this close, it still is
Someone
like.
might not.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely do. My main goal, I think one day I would really like to try and do a full.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very, very distant future.
Yeah.
But I would
awesome.
definitely like to do a few more halves.
Yeah, just chip away at it. And I remember crossing the line of my very first marathon, and it went great. I ran faster than I thought I would, and I remember crossing going, nope, never going to do it again. Like, I felt so terrible. When I finally stopped my body, you're doing the same thing for so long, and then you stop it, and your body, even though it's right and you're done, and it's not like you should keep going, but your body kind of goes into this weird shock thing that, like, it's not... It was just so used to moving in the blood flow, and now you told it to stop, and I got really, really nauseous. So it's good that you have that outlook right now. I like that. So speed round. Let's go into the speed round. I feel like we kind of heard a little bit more about the race, but nothing is off limits as far as our speed round goes. It doesn't have to be running related. Or
Mine is not, because I have been looking at both of your amazing nails the whole time. So for Kyla, I'll ask you the first one. Where do you get your nails done?
USA Nails. Kit does my nails every 2 weeks. I definitely recommend Kit. He's the best.
Awesome.
Nice.
You can do Rylee.
Okay, so Rylee speed round. What was the very first time that you took a nutritional or a gel in the race?
In the race?
Yes.
I took one before.
Before?
And I took a little energy chew thing.
So did you take anything in the race?
In the race, yeah. I had another one at about mile 9.
And was that regimented, or were you just taking it as it goes? I know this is speed
question.
round. I'm sorry. We're getting back to the... Did you plan on doing it then, or did it just come up later?
It just came up because I knew I was starting to run out of energy, and I knew I was going to have to walk soon, so I thought I'd take it now. Yeah.
So you're more like Alicia, like you take it when you need it, not like me, like going to schedule it.
Yeah.
All right, back to the speed round. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. What was your favorite part of the marathon class?
Meeting Dr. Evans. I mean, I made so many friendships through this class that are just irreplaceable at this point.
Awesome.
Rylee, what is the sport you look most forward to doing again besides running?
I really like basketball.
Yeah?
Playing basketball just for fun.
Yep.
Or for sport. It's fun, yeah.
I'm going to just leave it at that. I was going to do a follow-up.
We have one more, right? What was the type of energy that you took during the race?
I brought 12 gel chews and I ate one.
Okay.
Whoa. There you go.
So the chews.
The chews. I don't like the goos.
Gotcha.
But that's me.
All right. This isn't the question. Rylee, have you done your lectures portion today, or are you in the evening?
No, I'm going to the evening today,
Okay.
yeah.
So is there anything that you're going to share there that you haven't shared with us yet in mind?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. Have you gone to the lecture part, Kyla? So you guys are both going this
Tonight.
evening?
They said that, yeah.
And so you essentially kind of share out tonight's the last class, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I might try to make it there just to hear the stories, because I love hearing everyone's experience. That's like one of the best parts about Marathon Weekend is everyone has their own story. I mean, we could honestly do a podcast like this for just hours with all the people that come through and share their stories as they're in the store, as they're getting goo and just kind of small talk. Marathon Week there's a lot of buzz before and afterwards. So anything else you want to share, babe? As you go into your marathon weekend, is this getting you pumped up, or are you just like, oh my gosh, everyone's talking about puking and having a hard time?
No, I feel ready. The goal is to have my family see me having fun.
Yeah, love that. Love that. It's really easy to have those performance goals, which I think are sometimes good and appropriate, but they fit in a certain place. And I've learned, especially with this week, that running with joy and not with time. I actually had my watch malfunction and I took it off. So running with joy was first and foremost paramount for me. Eau Claire Marathon does a good job of that. A lot of mooing out there, a lot of support. So we appreciate that. Anything else anyone wants to say before we wrap up? Emma, you want to say anything? Our employee Emma came in. I don't know if she's been thinking about it. Did you get to cheer at the Blue Gold Mile?
Yeah, I was there for a little bit and then I had to get going, but it was super fun to see everyone running by. That's like my favorite part because everyone gets like pretty amped just for the Blue Gold Mile. They like save some up and are smiling and that just gets you so excited. It makes you want to jump in the race.
So Emma doesn't know this. I'm going to totally put her on the spot and we can cut it out later if she doesn't like this. But how did your weekend go with conference track and field?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, we had Friday and Saturday was the conference track meet in Platteville. And we ended up for the girls getting second. I ran the
place.
5K.
How'd that go? Good, bad, or ugly?
It was good. It was good.
Good.
It was quite like the tactical kind of race.
Yeah,
so we
slow.
got out really slow and that felt pretty weird.
And that was good for you because you're a 1,500 meter runner more?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was nice.
Hey, we're going to hear from Emma in a future podcast for sure. She's the latest employee here at Blue Ox Running. But for everyone out there, and we're going to get the microphone so everyone can say this. You guys know our slogan, faster, slow, let's go. We're going to close every segment with it. 1, 2, 3, faster, slow, let's go.
Fast, fast, fast.
Or slow. Let's go! Faster, slow! Let's go! Faster, slow! Let's go!
So I saw one sign on the race and it said, "You've done harder things than this." And I was just thinking in my head the whole time, no, I haven't. This is literally the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. Awesome. That's killer.